guys, today I have a new update, I guess, on my new pans in my collection. So this is everything I've hit pan on, and this is going to be a new update. So this is all new stuff that I've already hit pan on. If you want to check out everything I have pan on in my collection, I posted, I think, 4 of these videos right in a row a few months ago. So you can go check out all of those to catch up. But this is going to be, I guess, update 5, because this will be all of my new pans in my collection. So let's just get started. I'm going to just go down the list of the order that I hit the pans. So let's get into it. The first new pan that I have comes from my Colourpop in a Trance palette. And I hit pan on the shade Clarity, which is the Super Shock shadow up here at the top. And this palette was in my Pan Those eyeshadows. I was working on the blue, but I was able to get a bonus pan on the Super Shock. So here is the shade Clarity. It's just a really pretty blue, purple, pink, shifty shade. If you look at it straight on with no light, it's just clear, almost like white, like basically you can't even see it. But then once the light hits it, really, really pretty color. And I wore that in my inner corner a ton. My second new pan comes from my Colourpop Double Entendre palette. And the shade that I hit pan on was Double Entendre. And this was in my Pan Those eyeshadows series. So right there is the shiny, shiny pan. And really excited about another new pan. So there is that guy. This one went actually a lot quicker than I thought that it would, because Colourpop shades take a really long time, but this one seemed to go like pretty quickly. It was before 30 uses, which is pretty good for Colourpop. So right there is that shade Uninhibited from the Double Entendre palette. Really pretty, and I wore this all over the lid like every single day until I hit pan on it. Really pretty gold. I guess it's like a bronzy gold. Okay, my next pan is not an eyeshadow. My next 2 aren't eyeshadows. So we hit pan in my purple concealer that I'm using. You've probably seen pretty much all of this stuff in other projects. There's a few, maybe just one, that is not in a project, but that is the pan, and we are expanding that every time I use it. I try to use it every day. I tend to forget to use it every day, but I'm trying to finish this off by the end of the year. So I'm not going to swatch this because it's a light, very light purple concealer. I'll swatch like the eyeshadows. So that is pan number 3. And pan number 4 is a foundation. And this comes from my Depotted foundation palette, and this is what it looks like. This was in a Build Your Own Face palette over the summer, and I was able to hit pan on it. There is not much left in here, but this shade is too dark for me now, so I'll either have to use it as a cream bronzer, like in the dead of winter, or wait and bring it out again in the summer. So there is that pan. The next pan is another one from my Pan Those eyeshadows. This is the Becca Pearl Glow Shimmering Eye Palette, and I was working on the shade Lilac Pearl in that project, and I was able to hit pan on it right here. This one came out of nowhere for me as well. Like, I really did not think I would hit pan on this shade, but the pans were a lot shallower than I thought that they were. So there is a pretty good sized pan in this palette, and I wore this on the lid in the inner corner, like again, like every single day until I hit pan on it. I tend to focus on my Pan Those eyeshadows until I meet their goal. So I tend to wear like the same eye look every single day, if it's in that project, until I am able to hit my goal on it. The next eyeshadow comes from my Lorac Pro 2 palette. This is a very loved palette in my collection. I have 5 pans and 1 empty pan in here so far. And the new pan is Snow, which is the white shimmer right here at the bottom. There, you can see the pan there. I wore this on the inner corner until I hit pan. I think I only had to work on this for 1 or 2 weeks before I had pan, because there was already such a big dip in here just from like natural use of this palette. This is one of my favorites. This was a favorite in college, and I wore this all the time, like every single day in college. Basically, I wore this pretty much this half down. I really haven't reached into that half nearly as much, but this like pinky neutral side, I've worn a ton. So right there is Lorac Snow. Okay, we have another non-eyeshadow product, and this is my little cream bronzer. So this comes from that same concealer palette as the purple concealer, but I was using this shade as a cream bronzer, and clearly I have hit pan. I think next year I'll come back and focus around to this one to try to finish it off. I would like to be able to this year, but I'm still working on my cream bronzer in my project pan. Words are hard today. And I don't see that one ending anytime soon, so I don't think I'll be able to come back around to that one until next year. The next eyeshadow that I have pan on is from my Lorac Tale as Old as Time palette. This is like the Beauty and the Beast palette, and this was in my Panless eyeshadows, and I was able to hit pan on the shade Chip In, which is right there. This is another matte cream setting shade, which is what tends to go pretty quickly for me because I'm always using one. But I was able to hit pan on that one in that project, and I'm happy to finally have a pan in this palette because it hasn't seen too much love. The next eyeshadow is a single like depotted eyeshadow, and it is my Wet n Wild eyeshadow in Comfort Zone, and it's from the Comfort Zone palette, and it's the dark brown shimmery shade. So I have a pretty good pan all in that corner, and this was in my Build Your Own palette for last month. So I was able to knock out a pretty good chunk of it. There's still a ton of product left in here, but I wore this as a liner every day that this palette was, pretty much every day that I was using this palette. And that is the swatch right there. It kind of has like a little purple shift to it now that I'm kind of looking at it on the side. But I don't think it really looks purple. It definitely just looks like a dark shimmery brown. The next product is another one that is not an eyeshadow, and this is the last one that's not an eyeshadow. And this is actually an older pan that when I was going through my collection, I realized that I didn't mention it in the last videos. So this comes from my ABH lipstick palette. And let me take off the little plastic. So the shade that we have pan on is the white up in the top. And I used this actually to mix with all of my depotted lipsticks that I am currently panning as a cream blush. And if you're curious to know what that looks like, it is in my rolling project pan, and it has been for a very long time. So that is what I used. I used all of my depotted lipsticks from way back when, and I used the white shade, quite a bit of the white shade, because it was really, they were dark and bright pink lipsticks. And then I used a little bit of the red and the purple, but mostly the white. And that is what I used to mix that blush together. Next is actually all 3 of these were featured in my Pan Those eyeshadows, so the next 3 are all from Pan Those eyeshadows. But the first one is from the Face Candy Disco Fever palette, and I hit pan on the shade Vinyl. I previously already had a pan on the shade Psych, but now we have a pan in the matte black, just a tiny little baby speckle of pan, but I was wearing this as a eyeliner, so I just kind of dug in there with my little eyeliner brush. And we do have pan on that one. I'm not going to swatch it just because it's a matte black and it gets everywhere. Next, we have a shade from my BH Cosmetics Karli Bible palette. This is the Deluxe palette. And this was just recently in a Pan Those eyeshadows. And we hit pan on this dark brown shimmer shade. It doesn't have a name, but I really enjoyed working on this color. Again, a lot of what I've had out lately has been these bronzy, shimmery shades. And I've actually been enjoying panning them, so there is a pan on that guy. And then lastly, my last two shades come from the same palette, and this is my Colourpop Aura and Out palette. And we have pan on the shade Energetics and Soul Sister. So this is what the palette looks like. For my Pan Those eyeshadows, I was working on the matte white, but obviously that one doesn't have pan. But I was able to hit a pretty good size pan in the pressed glitter and a little pan in the Super Shock shadow. So there we go, our final two pans. I'm not going to swatch the glitter because that will be on my arm for literally ever. But I will give you a swatch of the green Super Shock shadow. This was like really fun to play with actually. And I did really like this one and the pressed glitter like on top of each other. I thought that it looked really pretty. And there that is right there. Finally, a color that is not just a shimmery brown. But that is going to be everything for today's update. I hope you guys liked seeing all my new pans, and I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.